The landscape of European defense aerospace has historically been dominated by the gravitational pull of Franco-German consolidation. For decades, the assumption in Brussels and Berlin was that the path to a unified European defense capability lay in the integration of French aeronautical design with German industrial capacity. However, the emergence of the Global Combat Air Program, or GCAP, marks a significant geopolitical and industrial bifurcation. The decision by Italy to align its strategic future with the United Kingdom and Japan, rather than joining the Future Combat Air System, or FCAS, led by France and Germany, represents a calculated maneuver to preserve national industrial sovereignty and technological leadership. This analysis examines the drivers behind the Italian pivot, focusing on the systemic inefficiencies of the Franco-German model and the strategic convergence between Rome, London, and Tokyo. To understand the Italian position, one must first analyze the structural friction within the rival FCAS program. The initiative, launched by France and Germany and later joined by Spain, was intended to produce a Generation 6 fighter to replace the Rafale and Eurofighter Typhoon. However, the project has been plagued by disputes over intellectual property and workshare distribution between Dassault Aviation of France and Airbus Defence and Space of Germany. The operational philosophy of FCAS has frequently adhered to a strict hierarchy where French industry claims leadership over the critical next-generation weapon system. For a nation with the industrial heritage of Italy, represented by the aerospace giant Leonardo, entering such an arrangement presented a tangible risk. The concern was that Italy would be relegated to a Tier 2 status, responsible for metal bending and subcomponent manufacturing, rather than the development of high-value flight control systems or sensor fusion technologies. The experience of Spain within FCAS serves as a cautionary tale that likely influenced decision-making in Rome. Despite being a partner, Spanish industry has struggled to secure equal footing against the entrenched interests of Dassault and Airbus. Italy, possessing a defense industry that rivals that of Germany in technical sophistication, required a partnership model based on equity rather than subordination. This requirement for industrial parity directed Italian attention toward the United Kingdom, a partner with a similar Eurofighter heritage, and eventually Japan, a nation seeking to break free from the traditional constraints of purchasing American off-the-shelf hardware. The formation of GCAP is therefore not merely a procurement decision, but a restructuring of the global defense industrial base. The trilateral agreement between Italy, Japan, and the UK establishes a framework designed to avoid the paralysis affecting their continental rivals. The establishment of the GCAP International Government Organization, known as JIGO, reflects this commitment to equality. While the headquarters are located in the United Kingdom, the first chief executive officer is Japanese, and the leader of the commercial entity is Italian. This rotating leadership structure ensures that no single nation can unilaterally dictate the trajectory of the program, a sharp contrast to the French dominance observed in FCAS. Technological sovereignty remains the central pillar of this alliance. For the Japan Air Self-Defense Force, replacing the F-2 fighter with a domestic-led solution is a matter of national security. Similarly, the Italian Air Force requires a guarantee that it will possess full access to the source codes and modification rights of its future fleet, a capability often restricted when purchasing American platforms like the F-35. The GCAP structure allows the three nations to share development costs while retaining sovereign control over the final product. The division of labor aims for a balanced 33-33-33 split during the development phase, ensuring that engineering talent in Turin, Wharton, and Nagoya remains engaged in cutting-edge research. A critical component of this collaboration is the role of electronics and sensor fusion, an area where Italian industry has successfully positioned itself as an indispensable leader. Leonardo is not merely a contributor, but a lead systems integrator for the electronics architecture. The focus of the program is heavily weighted toward the integrated sensing and non-kinetic effects and integrated communications system, known as ISANKE and ICS. In modern aerial warfare, the airframe itself is secondary to the network of sensors and data processing capabilities it carries. By securing leadership in this domain, Italy ensures that its value to the program is inextricably linked to the brain of the aircraft, rather than just the airframe. This complements the strengths of Mitsubishi Heavy Industries in Japan, which brings advanced composite materials and engine technology to the table, and BAE Systems in the UK, which offers extensive experience in airframe design and digital engineering. The divergence in timelines further validates the Italian choice. The security environments in both the Mediterranean and the Indo-Pacific are deteriorating rapidly. The GCAP consortium has committed to a flying demonstrator by 2027 and entry into service by 2035. This aggressive schedule aligns with the retirement plans of the Japanese F-2 and the British and Italian Typhoons. Conversely, the friction within the FCAS program has pushed its projected entry into service toward the 2040 or even 2045 timeframe. For planners in Rome and Tokyo, waiting an additional decade for a replacement capability was operationally unacceptable. The ability of the Anglo-Italian-Japanese alliance to freeze requirements and move toward metal cutting demonstrates a shared sense of urgency that is currently absent in the Franco-German project. Furthermore, the export potential of the GCAP platform offers a significant economic incentive. The global market for Generation 6 fighters will be limited, but by combining the diplomatic reach of 3 G7 nations, the consortium creates a viable third option for nations that cannot acquire American technology or wish to avoid Russian and Chinese dependencies. The inclusion of Japan is particularly significant as it opens the door to the Asian market, a region where European defense contractors have historically struggled to compete with United States dominance. The modification of Japanese export guidelines to allow for the transfer of the finished aircraft to third-party nations removes a major legislative hurdle, allowing the consortium to compete aggressively on the global stage. Critics may argue that coordinating 3 distinct industrial bases across huge geographic distances presents logistical challenges. However, the digital transformation of aerospace engineering mitigates this risk. The use of digital twins and cloud-based collaborative environments allows engineers in Japan to work seamlessly with counterparts in Europe. Moreover, the cultural synergy between the 3 nations should not be underestimated. Japan, Italy, and the UK are all maritime powers with significant aerospace traditions and a shared strategic interest in maintaining a rules-based international order. They share a pragmatic approach to defense procurement that prioritizes operational capability over the political symbolism of European integration. The narrative that Italy has abandoned Europe by partnering with Japan is fundamentally flawed. Instead, Italy has chosen to redefine the boundaries of defense cooperation. By rejecting the subordinate role offered by the FCAS consortium, Rome has secured its status as a Tier 1 aerospace power. The partnership with Japan and the UK creates a center of gravity that balances the influence of France and Germany. For the Japanese audience, this development confirms that Japan is no longer an outlier in global defense partnerships, but a central hub of innovation. The Global Combat Air Program is a testament to a new era of minilateralism, where nations with shared strategic imperatives and complementary industrial capabilities bypass traditional geographic blocks to deliver superior military outcomes. The success of this program will likely determine the balance of air power in the mid-21st century, proving that in the realm of advanced technology, meritocracy and mutual respect are more potent drivers of progress than simple geographic proximity.